We're live, baby. Boomachino in hand. Talking recap UFC Antonio, and we're going to talk about Edgar Holloway, preview that fight and some of that card as well. To start off, San Antonio, Leon Edwards with a masterful performance against a really tough veteran in RDA, who is just like a professional at fighting 5-round fights these days. Like he just knows how to pace himself. He knows how to stay in the fight, and he's just such a durable guy. Elbow nasty, and in the clinch especially, like he would kind of clinch up and then throw that left elbow surprising out of nowhere. And I think he caught RDA like 4 times. Thing cut him open over his eye here, and he was having trouble with that. And he shot a takedown early the first round, kind of kept him guessing with that to just let him know, listen, like I could take you down if I want to. I could. Obviously, RDA's lost a couple of fights to wrestlers like Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, so Leon Edwards knew that, so he went in there with a game plan, and he executed it perfectly. He had really crisp hands, good accuracy. Although RDA was doing really well, he was definitely the much, but he was having a lot of success with that calf kick, which I thought if he landed it a bunch more times, it could have been big problems for Leon Edwards. He did drop him with one because it was starting to add up, and you saw that it was starting to really take a toll on him. But nonetheless, Leon Edwards comes out with a big victory, and now it's like, what's next for him, right? I mean, everybody's saying, like, you should make the Masvidal fight, but if you're Masvidal, you're like, well, I'm good on that because I already 3-piece and so did your ass, and I'm in line for a title, so I'm not going to move backwards and take another risk, which I understand. But as far as, like, the fans go and the UFC goes, I feel like they might try to look to go that route, but obviously, you've seen, Masvidal's management saying they're only going to take a title or a McGregor fight right now, and that's, smart on their end. So understandable, but I would love to see the Edwards-Masvidal fight. I think it'd be cool promotion to kind of play that clip where they had that exchange, behind the scenes and lead up to the fight and stuff like that. I think it would be good for business, but Masvidal's, taking out Ben Askren like that, he's kind of set himself up nicely for a title shot, and I think right now you got to strike while the iron's hot, and Masvidal is making noise, so I think they're going to end up trying to bump him into a title shot, to be honest. But where are they going to put Leon Edwards? That's the question. The guys kind of have, like, he's in like a shitty situation for how many wins he has in that division. It's just like if he was in any other division, he probably has a title shot by now, but he's in, a stacked welterweight division where there's a lot of different things mixing up. You got rematch between Tyron Woodley, Robbie Lawler. You got Usman coming off an injury, waiting to defend his belt. Askren just got, sidelined for a little bit by Masvidal. You got Colby Covington fighting, who's he fighting again at MSG? Why am I drawing a blank right here? Colby Covington is fighting. He's fighting Robbie Lawler, isn't he? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I thought Lawler was fighting Woodley in a rematch, but maybe that fight fell through. Maybe Colby's fighting Lawler, which, yeah, because they were talking about why he left ATT and stuff like that. But there's a lot of mixing up going on in the welterweight division, and Leon Edwards is kind of like doing great, but with bad timing on his side. And now, he might have to win another big fight to get put into a title fight. Maybe they're going to wait to make that fight with Masvidal after maybe Masvidal wins the title or at least challenges for it and loses, and then they make that fight to see number one contenders, stuff like that. Who knows? But that'd be a great fight to see. Moving down, Alexei Olynyk loses to Walt Harris. Walt Harris, man, a big athletic guy in the heavyweight division, and that was a terrible fall for Olynyk. He got clipped with that left hand and fell like on his ankle, and his ankle clearly snapped from underneath him, and it was nasty. And I think I'm pretty sure he broke his ankle, and Will Harris gets a big TKO victory or knockout actually. And I'm curious to see who they match him up with next, because that guy has some crazy speed and power for him. He moves really well, and he put Olynyk away a lot faster than anyone else has, and you usually don't see that. Olynyk's a tough. Props to Walt Harris. Greg Hardy, Juan Adams. Juan Adams shoots a single leg. He's holding on for dear life. And the weirdest thing to me was it didn't really look like he had gotten hit with anything that was like, wow, he's hurt or he's rocked. But he kind of played it like that. It was a really weird scenario where he had a single leg and he wasn't like cut the side angle and try to like dip him over onto his back. He wasn't trying to move or angle off or do anything with the single leg. He's kind of just flattened on his belly, and you got Hardy like landing these soft shots not soft shots, but fast, shorter shots to the head, and Juan Adams is doing nothing. So the ref has no choice. He's like, listen, move, do something. Okay. Stoppage, and everyone wants to see Hardy lose, but that's what it is, man. If you got on a single leg and you're getting hit to the side of the head and you're just not moving anything, the ref's gonna stop the fight. So that sucked. But I mean, it is what it is. Greg Hardy's gonna have. I thought that was a good test for him. I thought that Juan Adams was gonna really make him work, but we didn't get to see that. So I'm sure they're gonna match Hardy up with someone even above Juan Adams next, and someone at. Vic takes another KO loss. I think that's back-to-back KOs for him. Sucks to see that. He was a guy who was on a big win streak in the lightweight division, and now he's on 2 knockout losses, a anthem loss. And Hooker rebounds very nicely against that last loss to Edson Barboza, where he got torn up, man, and was taking damage on damage, man. Leg kicks, spinning back kicks to the liver, to the ribs. The guy was barely able to move. He had a great stance at the same time, and he pulled out the right hand and threw the left hook right on the chin of James Vick, man, put him out cold. And man, Hooker says he's got his real estate license, but you know who else has their real estate license? Quinta. So I think that's the next matchup. He wants to fight in Australia alongside Israel Adesanya, his teammate. I think that's a smart shot. I say you do Quinta, Dan Hooker in Australia. That'd be beautiful. Great fight. Great matchup in the lightweight division for big stakes to see who's going to stay at that upper echelon. I look forward to that. Alexander Hernandez comes out after his loss to Donald Cerrone. I was curious about this. I was curious to see, because he's a confident guy who speaks a lot of confidence, and it didn't seem like he lost steam, but I was wondering after that Cerrone loss, because he did get beat up pretty damn bad. He had injuries. He had to recover. Like, what kind of Hernandez were we going to see in this fight? And against a guy like Trinaldo, who's a veteran, who's a tough, durable guy, it seemed like Hernandez wanted to point strike. It didn't seem like the same guy. He was really aggressive. He was coming forward. Something happens, when you take a big loss like that, you start to double cross yourself and start to overthink, like, should I fight like this? Should I try to, maybe not get myself in trouble, not blow my load too early in the fight and just, let go of everything? So we saw that in Alex Hernandez's performance. He was staying on the outside. He was moving a lot. He was kind of side to side, kind of running away a little bit, if you would call it that. And Trinaldo was like, yo, let's go, like, meet in the center. But Hernandez was, fighting a smart fight, but not the most exciting fight on the card. And he barely squeaks by with a decision, gets the win at home. So it was good that he was able to bounce back and able to get a new, rebound from that fight against Cerrone. But I don't think he quite found himself again. And he has time to do that now. But I think he needs to kind of get back to his ways and kind of just erase that fight against Cerrone and say, listen, like, you don't want to just throw caution to the wind and just get reckless, but you're a type of fighter who can finish a lot of guys in the lightweight division if you fight your fight the way you do. So, interesting to see how Hernandez comes back, if he continues to fight like more of a point striker or if he gets back to his aggressive ways. Andre Arlovski, Ben Rothwell, they had a back and forth battle at heavyweight, man. Bloody Ben Rothwell in that fight. Arlovski has like 9 lives, man. The guy's like a cat in the UFC, just doesn't go away. He always finds his way back in the win column after a loss or whatever. But he had a good performance. He was just a more accurate striker, the more volume, and he put it on Ben Rothwell, who both of them got really tired by the end of that fight. But Rothwell was a bloody mess, and obviously Arlovski won the fight. Alex Caceres takes out the homeboy Steven Peterson, who's such a pressure fighter, hard to deal with. And Alex Caceres allegedly broke his hand in the first round, so that was really impressive. He broke his left hand, which was his power hand. He was able to still throw it to the body, which was cool because like he was highly intelligent to do that because that's obviously not as hard as a forehead or a facial bone. He's throwing shots to the body with a broken hand, still able to kind of show like, hey, listen, if you have a broken hand, you don't want your opponent to know and to start bum rushing you when you can't really use that weapon. So Alex Caceres, kept them thinking, listen, I'm good, I'm sharp. But he used his right hook a lot. His corner was doing great work to keep him confident in there, even though he had an injury. And he was able to outpoint like that funky hip hop music or whatever you call it. But it's just funny seeing him like strut out and dance with his fro kind of bouncing everywhere. I love that guy. But big win for him after coming off a loss to Ice Cream Chrome Gracie. Raquel Pennington back in the win column. She beats Ireka Kakaruchi. Can't pronounce his name, obviously. But, yeah, Sam Alvey loses. I always love seeing Smiling Sam at the event. Such a nice gentleman guy. He's a really cool guy. I like seeing him win. He has big power in his hands, but he just wasn't able to get the job done. Jennifer Maia beats Roxanne Modafferi. She missed weight. She definitely had the size advantage and the strength advantage. Roxanne Modafferi kind of puts her head down and just throws strikes for the hell of it. It doesn't seem like she actually has a calculated striking style where she's, pinpointing her accuracy and really setting up combos like confidently. It just seems like she bum rushes forward and just throws punches out to the air and hopes they land. But obviously she's primarily a jiu-jitsu girl, but that's the name of the game, man. You gotta get well rounded in here, or else you're gonna take losses. Ray Borg, always happy to see him win with what he goes to with his son. Big win for him. He's fighting at bantamweight, which he really should be a flyweight, but he's missed weight a couple times. He's back in the win column. His son was able to see him live. That shit had me teary-eyed, after his post-fight interview, and he's just a gritty, aggressive wrestler, man. He's able to win. Great scrambler. He ends up in bad positions, but he stays calm. Even when you have his back and you have your arms wrapped around his neck, he looks confident. He knows he's going to get out. He knows he's going to twist and turn and end up on top, and that's what he does in this fight. He tires out Gabriel Silva, and he gets the decision victory. Boom. But this, ladies and gentlemen, was the fight of the night. Mario Batista, I was really impressed with this guy because, to be honest, after his loss to Corey Sandhagen, I didn't know what to think of him. I know Sandhagen's on the rise, and his jiu-jitsu is, solid. He's a hard guy to fight. He moves like Dominic Cruz. He's really elusive, but his jiu-jitsu is really solid with his triangle game, and he caught Batista early. That fight was on short notice, though, but Jin Soo Sun had an amazing fight against Peter Yan, and I was really confident that this guy was going to take Batista out, but Batista shows this guy stands in the pocket, throws power punches, goes to the body. He looked great, man. I believe they got fight of the night. So that was an excellent, entertaining fight. Really exciting stuff. Really high-level stuff, too. Guys willing to just exchange and just say, fuck it, just stay in there in the pocket, take damage to give damage. And sometimes those fights are not the smartest fights, but what the fans want to see. And then you got Felipe Kelleher. He beat him slow, kind of the jitters were getting to him or something like that. He came alive in spurts, but it seemed like he was lackluster and wasn't really fully in the fight, which was surprising because that was his debut coming off the Contender Series. And you would have thought he was going to put it on that guy. He had some good submissions on the Contender Series. Sorry, guys, I'm looking up. He won by I believe it was an armbar, or no, it was the rear naked choke, which is one of his highlighted submissions. He goes to a lot, but he just wasn't able to put it together in this fight, and really just didn't get aggressive enough, and he just didn't want it as much as the other guy, and I think that's what it came down to. Holloway versus Edgar. Moving on to this fight, Holloway moves up to 155. He challenged Dustin Poirier. He put up a good fight, but he wasn't able to get the job done. Obviously, Poirier had great power in that fight. He has great boxing, great pressure. And it's really tough to deal with a guy like that. Poirier is very well rounded. He's fitting into the lightweight class. He's getting bigger and bigger. His boxing's getting better and better, and he's putting on power to guys' faces. So Holloway was, you could see he was getting hit a little bit harder with some of those shots, and he wasn't able to kind of develop his game where he's usually overwhelming guys with volume. But in this fight, you're dealing with a guy much smaller, Frankie Edgar, but a well-rounded guy who mixes it up better than almost anybody in the UFC. With I'm drooling here because the fight's so fucking exciting. Boom. We got Edgar's mixing it up with crazy high volume boxing, gets inside, and he takes guys down over and over. I think he's a lot stronger than guys imagine because of his size, but he's able to ragdoll guys even though he's the smaller guy. And I think in this fight, Holloway has to watch out for that pressure boxing wrestling game. You know, he's going to be inside, trying to get inside on him, trying to back him up. If you notice in the Poirier fight, Holloway was having his least success when he was moving backwards. Whenever he was able to pressure Poirier forward, he was landing a little bit more of his volume striking. But when he was moving backwards, he was taking hard shots. And Edgar's going to try to do that. He's going to try to push him backwards, get him against the cage, grind on him, try to take him down, try to get him tired, and not allow Holloway to develop his range and his reach and his volume striking. I see Holloway winning the fight because I've seen Edgar get caught before. He does get hit a lot in a lot of fights, and Holloway is the type of guy that once he starts building momentum, it just gets better and better for him and worse for the other guy. He kind of settles into his style. He's switching stances. He's moving well. He's avoiding your strikes and counter striking, and then just overwhelming guys. I don't know if he'll be able to finish a guy like Edgar, but I think Edgar's going to take a lot of damage in this fight. That's just my opinion. I'm going with Holloway by decision. Maybe TKO if the ref has to step in. Chris Cyborg, Felicia Spencer. Felicia Spencer's got great jiu-jitsu, man. She has a chance to submit Cyborg. Cyborg, I don't know if she's been submitted, but coming off a bad knockout loss like that to Nunez, that's tough to deal with, and now she's going in with a girl who she doesn't have to really worry about that power striking, which is nice, but she does have to worry about the pressure takedown in the jiu-jitsu game of Felicia Spencer, who was able to submit what's her name? Tall Australian girl. Why am I forgetting her name? Oh, God. Drawing a blank again. What's her name? Help me out here. I don't know, but she submitted her last girl quickly, took her back. Really impressive jiu-jitsu game. And I think Cyborg just has to kind of keep her range, keep her at bay, use the jab, use her footwork, and try to just avoid a takedown, and she'll be able to get a victory in this fight. I think nobody's been hit hit by someone like Chris Cyborg's power in the women's division, so you can't get hit by that. I think Felicia Spencer's going to have to deal with that and try to overcome that. It's going to be a tough task. Jeff Neal, Nico Price. Jeff Neal, man, this is a high-level fight, man. Nico Price, a scrappy guy off his back. He's knocked guys out from his guard, which is crazy. I think against Randy Brown from his guard, he had against the fence, hammer fisting him off his back. Jeff Neal's been head-kicking guys into another dimension. And I don't know, man. Jeff Neal's one of those guys that I just cannot pick against this guy. Watching him fight, he just got such good composure, good power, and he seems to hurt almost everybody he fights. So I'm going with Jeff Neal in this fight, although you can't count Nico Price out. He has coming off of, a couple of really impressive victories. His last fight, he was down in the scorecards and came back to win that fight against Tim Means by knockout. It was like a shocker of a knockout, too. It was crazy, but that was a badass finish. So with this fight, though, I'm going to go with Jeff Neal. I think his power is just going to be too much for Nico Price, and I think he's going to get the job done on the feet. Moving down, we'll make some quick picks. Olivier, the Canadian gangster, I got to go with him. That guy's fucking hilarious. So we're going with Ben Mercier. Marc-Andre Barriault versus Christophe Jacko. I'm going with Jacko, high-level guy on the feet, fast hands, good footwork, good. Alexis Davis versus Viviane Araujo. I'm going to go with Alexis Davis. She's been in the game for a long time. I remember fighting on the regional scene with her in like Buffalo or something, upstate New York, before the UFC days. I got Alexis Davis submission. Hakeem Dawodu versus Yoshinori Hori. I'm going with Hakeem Dawodu. Very impressed with this guy. great Muay Thai, great composure. He's in there, in your face, confident, and he doesn't take a back step. Gavin Tucker, I think he moved down to I thought he moved down to bantamweight, but I guess this says a featherweight fight. But yeah, he's fighting Chu Song Woo. I'm going with Gavin Tucker. Very impressed with this guy's striking game and his movement. He's in and out, fast with the hands. Going with Gavin Tucker. Alexandra Pantoja versus Davison Figueroa. Man, this is one of the hardest fights to pick. Very even matchup. Pantoja give the jiu-jitsu edge. Davison Figueroa, I just give the overall grinding strength edge. A little bit more power. But I think Pantoja will eventually get a submission. Davison seems to empty the gas tank and get tired as the fight goes on. Let's get to some Twitter questions, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Nice and easy, quick, smooth, Boomachino style, baby. We got people out here on the show. Welcome to the Boomcast. Putting glass up in the bathroom. That's the perks of living at home with your parents. Hey, rent free. Fuck them. Let's see what we got here. By the brother, Keith Kelleher, one of my biggest fans. We got not including yourself or Henry Cejudo. What two bantamweights would you want to see fight right now? I think either Moraes versus Jan or Aljo versus Garbrandt would be awesome. People forgetting about Moraes already. Yeah, that's true. People are forgetting about Moraes. They definitely shouldn't write that guy off because he was doing amazing against Cejudo before he lost. He just has to work on his gas tank and his energy, his expenditure of energy, not throw too much power too early in the fight, because if you have a durable guy like Cejudo, you might have to deal with him in the 4th, 5th round. But, yeah, definitely would love to see Moraes versus Jan. I think that's a great fight. Aljo versus Jan. I don't think they would be a fight to see, but I don't know if up there to fight Moraes right now, coming off 3 losses, although Moraes is coming off 1 loss. Maybe, you know what would be a great fight? Dominic Cruz comes back and fights Marlon Moraes. That's a great matchup right there. Or Dominic Cruz title and then Jan fights Moraes, number 1 contendership. All those fights kind of make sense. I think they're going to give Garbrandt a much more winnable fight in his next fight. I think he'll fight someone that's in the top 10, but someone towards the bottom half. And but yeah, interesting to see what they do. There's a lot of mix-up. Uriah Faber, he might sneak in there and fucking cut the line before all these guys, but I wouldn't mind seeing Faber fight Jan or Faber fight Aljo, if that's what they got to do before they make the title fight in the bantamweight division, because I think Cejudo is going to be fighting flyweight first. What else we got? Chill. Let's go, champ. Okay. We have Smokey J MMA. Before the fight, like in the lead up to it, did you think that Max was going to put that work on T-City? I still get chills when I see the replays. Yeah, I kind of did. Honestly, I thought that Max Holloway, just the way that he's been looking, that he was going to put it on T-City. I didn't think that Ortega was that fucking durable. That was crazy. He took so much damage in that fight and was still trying to win. I did think Ortega would have be able to threaten him at some point in the jiu-jitsu area, but I thought Max had the edge, man. Even Max's jiu-jitsu is high level enough to deal with Ortega's. I think Ortega's wrestling is not at a good enough level to kind of like take Max down and hold him down. And I thought that would be probably his best bet. And Max Holloway's not going to be looking to wrestle guys. He's not really looking to take guys down. So in order for that fight to end up on the ground and Ortega to be in his guard or be on top of Max, it was very unlikely. I didn't see that happening. So it was going to come down to striking, and I gave the edge to Max and the volume to Max and the accuracy. Ortega's boxing has improved. It looks great against other guys, but Max, I thought, was on another level, and he showed it in that fight. Matt Moore 7. What chance does Frankie have against Max? A, 0. B, 0. C, none. D, 1% if Max breaks both of his arms. Honestly, I mean, I got to give more props to Frankie than you're giving him, man. I don't give him 0 chance. I give him I say it's like a 70-30 Max Holloway Edgar. I think he's got a 30% chance. You know, if Holloway doesn't come in himself or he doesn't come in 100% and Edgar does, and he's putting it on him as far as aggression and pressure, and he's mixing up his strikes, his takedowns really well. Because listen, we saw Poirier take down Holloway a couple times, and no, he wasn't able to hold him down for long, but the fact that he was able to top guy, I think if Edgar could take down Holloway enough times, he could kind of start to get him a little bit tired and start to work his top pressure game. But I don't see that happening. I see Holloway working his range, his jab, setting up strikes, switching stances, keeping Edgar at bay, and making sure that he doesn't try to wrestle him to death. Boxing is great, but he's really short for the weight class, and he's got to get really close inside. I think Egg does better against shorter guys. Holloway's going to be much bigger, much taller, longer reach, and I think that's going to be a problem for Egg. That's just my opinion. Raging Max, the future is looking very dark for James Vick. Do you think he's in any danger of getting released? A move up to 170 and a change in camps might be his last resort. You hit the nail on the head. I think a move up to 170 could be big for him. Although he's never missed weight, he definitely looks terrible on the scale. And he's really tall and really lean already for the weight class. So I think at 170, if he could put on the right muscle, he could do well there. He's got solid jiu-jitsu. I think if he works on his wrestling and his ability to clinch guys and take guys down, he can really finish guys on the ground. But he doesn't seem to look to do that because he's so lengthy and his wrestling's not really a strength. He's more of a kicker and, you know, a guy who kind of hits submissions on scrambles due to guys getting, you know, knocked down or guys slipping, falling in the midst of that. But he's not really the type of guy to shoot a double leg or shoot a high crotch against the cage and get a submission off of that. But I don't know, man. I don't think they're going to look to cut him. He's definitely one more loss they might, but I don't think so now. He needs to take some time, heal up that head, second knockout loss in a row, get his mind together, make some changes. He fights out of a good camp, I think. I think he has good training partners, but maybe a move up to 170 would be a good attempt. You know, Kies is doing it. He's doing really well. You know, maybe Vic can move up to 170 and fight a guy like that and see where he belongs up there. Christopher Dilday, the Dill Daddy. Who does Leon Edwards fight next, and what's the best way the UFC can promote him? It's tough, man, because he's not a finisher, but he's a very high-level guy, and he's got so many wins in the welterweight division. He's beat the who's who up there. He just beat a former world champion, and he pretty much, you know, outstruck him the whole way. Looked great in that fight. Smart fighter, but not the most marketable fighter and not the most, you know, noise behind him, except for the fact that Masvidal 3-piece and soda him in the back of the last fight card. I think, you know, that gave him a lot of exposure, but it seems like that's losing steam. I really don't know, man. Maybe they'll give Leon the winner or the loser of Colby and Lawler. Maybe Woodley comes back and he has to fight Leon Edwards. That could be another fight. Or they just wait it out. They wait it out. They see how Masvidal does against whoever he fights next. Maybe they give Leon Edwards Ben Askren. I don't know, man. There's a lot of options, but he definitely deserves either a number one contender fight or a title fight soon. So we'll see. That's about it on here for Twitter, guys. Let's see if anybody leaves some questions over here in the comments section. What do we got here? Freethinker88, tell us some good street fighting stories. I know you must have had a scrap or two in Long Island. Funny thing is, I've never been in a street fight in my life. Honestly, like, for me growing up, I was always very disconfrontational. I would always kind of avoid fights, avoid arguing with people. You know, I had friends get in fights and I would kind of just walk away and just leave it be and just kind of stay out of it. If it's not my business, it's not my business. You know, with street fights, people are fucking pulling knives out. You're getting jumped from the side. You're getting cold clocked from behind. I'm not about that life. Interestingly enough, I became a fighter, but I think that part of that is the reason I have become a fighter, because I was always scared to fight. It was something that legitimately scared me. I was, you know, I would walk away from it. I would avoid it. I would freeze up. I remember I got into I did get into one fight in ice hockey in high school. There was a team brawl against another team. I believe it was Longwood. And some kid grabbed my jersey, and me and this guy were going back and forth, but I froze up. I had my stick in my hand. I had no idea what to do. I wasn't throwing punches. I was just letting the guy hit me, essentially trying to just wrestle him down and stop fighting. And I don't know what that was in me. I just kind of had this, like, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to deal with this, so I'm going to avoid this. But I think maybe I've had growing up playing sports my whole fire in me. I was tough, and I could fight, but I never wanted to kind of show it. And then this, MMA gave me that outlet to be able to show it, but not have to deal with the unknown, someone stabbing me or someone getting. I mean, you don't want to deal with having grudges with people in real life. You got to constantly look over your shoulder. It's not fucking worth it. So, yeah, that's kind of my story right there. But, yeah, thanks, guys, for tuning in. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, BrianBoom135. I posted a new song called Underrated on my Twitter. Check that out. Retweet if you could. I'd appreciate it. I'm going to start making more music and get some music videos going soon. So, check that out. Shout out to the Turp House right here, my CBD sponsor, best in the game. Go check those guys out, theturphouse.com, code BOOM135, 20% off. Shout out to MHP, Hummus, The Float Place, Vita Cryotherapy, all my sponsors. I got to get back on my recovery game, but we'll see you guys next time. Thanks again. Boom.